exactly what had been the course of his life. And now, as his life ebbs away from him, he is concerned to ensure that this young man, Timothy, will be bold and emboldened in the gospel. He refers to him as my dear son. My dear son. If you have a son, you understand this greeting. I was with my son, who will be 20 in a few days, in California last week, and when I saw him, if I said it or not, I don't know, but I looked at him, and in my heart I said, this is my dear son. And when I left him again to head for the airport, I was saying goodbye to my dear son. It's not just a phrase. It's not just a notion. It's not just a way of saying something, you see. No, it is his passion and his longing for this young man in the faith. And listen, if we ever make an impact on the generation that comes behind us, it will be directly related, not simply to our understanding of the authority that God has given us, having been called into his service, but it will be directly in accord with a sense of intimacy that we both enjoy and convey to those who follow us in the faith. And as he expresses his love for this young man, he does so writing of one whom he referred to in 1 Corinthians 4 as his child in the Lord, in Romans 16 as his fellow worker, and in Philippians 2 as the one individual for whom they would be able to find no replacement, because Paul was able to say, I have no one else who is remotely like him who will take a genuine interest in your welfare. So Timothy was a key guy. Timothy was at the fulcrum of this pivotal moment in the history of the church. And what is most striking is surely this, that Timothy was not an obvious choice. He was not an obvious choice. And you know why if you know your Bible. First of all, because he was comparatively young. And Paul makes mention of that. His youthfulness could be a severe impediment to him in the exercise of his duties. And that's why he exhorts him in relationship to his youthfulness. Added to the fact that he was comparatively young, he was physically frail. Hence his instruction to take a little wine for the sake of your stomach. It would appear that he had some problem with his tummy, and maybe it was directly related to his sense of timidity, and it went to his stomach and he had a problem there. And thirdly, he was naturally timid. And when Paul writes to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians 16, he says, when Timothy comes, put him at his ease. So here we have the transition of the gospel from one generation to another. The baton of faith is about to be passed into the hands of the guy who's at the forefront of the next generation. And who do we have? Somebody who is too young, too weak, and too timid from the perspective of the average congregation looking on. In other words, this chap would never have made it past the average search committee.